I want to give you my secret 3-step hybrid system to creating content every single day. Welcome back to the channel. I help content creators and entrepreneurs to scale high ticket coaching programs to 6 figures using Instagram organic marketing. Now in today's video, I want to walk you through my own specific kind of hybrid system. I have my 3-step hybrid system that allows me to post content every day if I want to, but also allows me to post content pretty much on demand because I have so much built up in a kind of library I could just use and post whenever I want to. Before I actually get into that, what I want to quickly kind of mention and remind you about is that when it comes to creating content, the best time to create content is when you have energy, is when you're motivated, is when you have some form of emotion around a particular piece of content you want to create. But the reality is that you're not always going to have that. You're not always going to be in a setting or in a position where you can just in that moment create a piece of content. You might have a kind of an urge to create content, but you might be on a client call. You might be out somewhere where you can't, or you don't have access to your equipment to create a piece of content. You might be in a situation that just doesn't allow you to create content in the shower or wherever it might be, so you can't actually do it. So it means that you're going to have to build a system that, yes, in one part of it, it relies on motivation. You can use that motivation to create your best content, but you also need to have a system that relies on discipline. And then that system allows that discipline, allows that process to become much easier to make the creating content process easier, more flexible, but also more scalable and more sustainable over time. Now, to kind of break it down for you, you have kind of what you've been told is you have 2 options when it comes to creating content. You can batch create, which means you spend one day and you batch create all of your content for the week, for the month, whatever it might be, or you can create all of your content on the day. So for example, if I'm going to post every day, I will create that piece of content on the day. Now the system I follow is a hybrid of the 2. It's the 3rd option, and I just call it my hybrid system. And what happens here is instead of having one day where you batch everything or you do everything on the same day, you spread it out across the week, and you do the different tasks on different days. So I'll explain it for you. Across 3 days, day 1, you're going to use day 1 simply for getting inspiration. And this day 1, it doesn't matter what day it is. It can be Monday, Tuesday, that's not the point. Just the first day of when you're creating content of that week, use that day only to focus on getting inspiration, collecting your ideas, collecting your thoughts. Now, what I always recommend anyway is that you should just be collecting ideas all the time regardless. So whenever you have an idea, whenever you get inspired by something, save it, put it onto a Trello board, or save it into your notes, put it onto Notion, something like that, to keep a library of ideas, keep a library of inspiration that you can pull from whenever you need to. But a key thing is that you want to be noting these down and actually just picking one day or one evening where you sit down, you take all these ideas and you say, well, okay, how does that resonate with me? How can I take these ideas, or what do they inspire me to create? And then just list out everything you want to do. And this doesn't mean you are listing out and writing the actual copy for the post or the actual script for the video. You're simply just writing the idea. You're getting the headline, you're getting a rough feeling of the idea, and just brain dumping everything into a document or onto a piece of paper, whatever works best for you. And just by doing that, you list as much as you can, don't really exclude anything. It means that going into day 2, you then have a lot of, kind of meat, a lot of kind of inspiration and ideas that you can then work from and then decide what to do. So that's day 1. Day 2 is when you can start to actually develop your ideas further. Now again, day 2, it doesn't have to be straight after day 1. It can be whenever you want it to be, whatever fits in your schedule. But what I tend to do with this day is I spend this day doing the copywriting. So I think there's a clear process you go through when it comes to specifically creating content. You go through the kind of, you're consuming content, you're looking at it, you're enjoying it, then you're actually creating the content, you're actually writing it and so on. And you have to analyze it as well and design it. And these are all different stages that work within this process. So on day 2, you're taking your ideas from day 1 and then you start to develop them. So you write the headline, or you fix the headline to make it as perfect as it can be. Then you do your first draft, and then you write out the actual copywriting or the script, whatever it might be, for that particular post. Now, what I always recommend is you basically just do as much as you can. if you can, smash out and do an entire batch of writing for like 10 posts, 15 posts, or however many you can do, that's always going to be better, and it will help you in the long run when it comes to having a good library of content you can pull from. That's day 2. Now, day 3 is when you actually create the piece of content itself. So day 1, collecting ideas. Day 2, you're planning and writing. Day 3, you're creating the individual pieces of content. Now, that could be you're doing reels or TikToks, or whether it is videos, long form videos, tweets, carousels, photography, single images, designs, whatever it is you do. Again, that's not the point, but day 3 is the day you actually take all of those things and you create it. And the benefit of this system is it gives you a lot of flexibility in that on day 3, when you are creating, you have the option of now adjusting the copywriting or adjusting the script of what you've done on day 2. And what actually benefits you here is that, and this is proven, it's actually what writers tend to do, is that when you write a first draft, whenever you write something from scratch, it's never the best it can be. Okay, it never is. So you'll never have a writer, for example, write a book in one go and then publish it. It doesn't happen. They write it and then they go back to it. Write it again, then they go back to it. You do what's called an ugly first draft. So on day 2, you're doing your ugly first draft. You're just getting your idea out there, getting the copywriting done. But on day 3, that's when you then take that idea, refine it, perfect it, get rid of the words that don't need to be there, get rid of the phrases, get rid of the sentences that don't flow, or again, whatever it might be, and you tidy it up to then have a really powerful, a really direct and a really succinct piece of content that then hits home and actually gets the message across. And so that's literally your general process. And once you've done that, at the end of the 3 days, you would have, in terms of time wise, you could probably do this in 30 minutes to 1 hour per day. And that by the end of those 3 days, you should have at the very least, 1 week's worth of content batched out for you. And if you can do that consistently over time, you're going to be ahead of the game when it comes to creating content for yourself on Instagram or whatever social media platform you're on. And just simply by doing that, you just make sure you're never rushing to create a piece of content. Whenever you rush to create something, it's never the best and it never works well. So I want to finish this video and wrap it up with a very good quote I heard. And I think it's from Atomic Habits, James Clear's book, but I'm not too sure. You have to correct me on it. But the quote is, "You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems." And when it comes to creating content, your system is what will help you in the long run. In the short term, yeah, your motivation might be great and that might help you to create content on the go. But honestly, in the long term, having that system, you can always fall back on a good system. And as long as you have that system in place, it means you'll be able to always maintain a kind of baseline, a base level of content creation or quality of content creation that is really important when it comes to compounding your growth, compounding your success. Because if you're always having content that is sometimes good, sometimes bad, your growth will always be up and down. If you can compound it and it's always a certain level, you continue to raise that level, that's when you get the compounding growth. Okay, guys. So look, I hope you found that video useful today. What I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to drop a video here. That's going to be another deep dive into my content creation process, and that's going to show you how to create more shareable content for Instagram and put those two together, and you should see your content performing much better as well and being more consistent with it. But guys, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget, drop a thumbs up, drop a comment below, subscribe as well if you want to, and I will see you guys in the next video.